Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're a new subscriber, let me know in the comment section down below how you found me. If you're a return subscriber, thank you for tuning back in to see my face. Yeah, as you could tell by the title of this video, we are doing Euphoria. And I'll be honest with y'all, I did not watch the show when it first came out, okay? I think it was, 2019 it first came out, or 2020? I don't know. But I didn't watch it. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I didn't watch it. Like, I tried to, but it's just so heavy. I like me comedic shows. I like sitcoms. Stuff like that, you know? So, yeah. But the new season came out earlier this year. We just hit February, but yeah. And episodes 1 through 4 have came out. And by the time we got to the second episode, I did tune in and I binge watched the first season in a day. And then I moved on to the second season because there was so much discourse going on my timeline, and I felt left out. I didn't like being left out. Hold on, y'all. Let me adjust the camera. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it was so much discourse going on that I was, like, left out. And it was, like, talking about people sleeping with best friends, boyfriends, and all this other stuff. I'm like, hold on, what's tea? Like, what's going on? Like, what am I missing? So, you know, I had to tune in. Because I want to give my opinion. Everybody else giving their little 2 cents. I want to give mine. So, yeah, it's midnight currently. It is, let me look at the time. It is currently 1 a.m. I lied. It ain't midnight. It's 1 a.m. I apologize. It is currently 1 a.m. If y'all don't know, I live in Florida, but I don't know why it's cold AF and the heat ain't coming to my room, so we wrapped up tonight. It's 1 a.m. I got thoughts. I got opinions. Okay, we're back. So, yeah. Usually, I tell y'all that I usually write a script when I cover shows, but I didn't write a script. I just want to see my, natural thoughts that come to mind when I think of each character in this new season. Yeah, so there's no script. These are just everything that comes to mind. So if I forget something about somebody or I missed a crucial detail, y'all can let me know in the comment section down below. But there's no script. This is all off dome. So details will be missed. I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and get into the show because I don't feel like dragging it anymore. So we had left off season 1, the dance, and Rue confronted Nate about leaving Jules alone, and Nate didn't really take her serious. And then Maddie and Nate, they had a little dance. They both agreed that they were toxic for each other and should probably break up. God, I don't want them to mess up. Yeah, they both agreed that they were toxic for each other and should probably break up. Cassie had her abortion. Her and McKay are on the outs at this point. Lexi's just kind of there. And then Kat ends up meeting up with that boy Nathan that we have been seeing towards the ends of the seasons. And they end up getting together. She tells him, yeah, I want to date you. And Jules and Rue decide they want to run away. But at the last moment, Rue's realizing, nah, I can't do it. So Jules still ends up leaving and Rue goes home heartbroken. Now we get into season 2. How did season 2 start? We started at the New Year's Eve party. Rue has relapsed, okay? I'm just going to go character by character because I don't even think I can go episode by episode because there's so much going on. Like, yeah. So for Rue, we meet her at the New Year's Eve party or the New Year's party, whatever it's called. She's relapsed. She's doing all this other stuff and it's just ridiculous. She keeps telling people it's just weed, it's just weed, it's just weed. But yeah, she's relapsed. She ends up seeing Jules. Jules asks her, when did she relapse? And Rue's like, do you want me to be honest? And Jules is like, yeah, I want you to be honest. Duh. And she was like, that night you left. I didn't think she was going to say the night that Jules left. I thought she was going to be a little bit nicer about it and be like, oh, the night of the dance. But she specifically said, no, the night you left. And I was like, dang, oh, you really don't care. So we just see that. And then, as the night progresses, they end up dancing with each other. I don't know if they kissed, but they just end up getting back together anyways because Rue felt bad for how she was acting towards Jules. She was just upset that homegirl left and all this other stuff. And yeah, as the season progressed, you know, we saw Rue in the car with Fez and his and Ashtray, and they were going to some dealer's house. Mouse. Oh, I forgot. At the end of season 1. Well, we not to his character. So they're going to this drug dealer's place, right? We end up meeting this new character. I don't remember her name. She got the big lips or whatever. And she ends up doing heroin. She leaves heroin in the car at one point, which Rue gets a hold of, and she takes it. So now Rue is on heroin. She's had fentanyl before. I don't know if she was taking it in the beginning, but she had fentanyl before. And then we move on from there. Oh, I did forget to mention, was it the New Year's Eve party? Yeah, I think it was a New Year's Eve party. Rue did end up meeting this boy named Elliot right before him and Jules like reconciled or whatever. Was it right before that? I don't even know, y'all. It's so much going on. But basically, she met Elliot at the New Year's Eve party right before her and Jules reconciled, I believe, and they was doing drugs in the laundry room, and then Elliot's kind of like, yeah, you know, I think we're not gonna be good for each other, and Rue's like, you're probably right, but we still gonna mess with each other, and Rue ends up dang near overdosing because, I don't know, she mixed in a whole bunch of drugs together, and homegirl almost overdosed again for a second time. So yeah, then we progress. It's like the school finally starts or whatever. And, you know, Jules and Rue are walking together. Here comes Elliot, who she forgot, you know, went to her school. Elliot, who she also did not tell Jules about. And Elliot's the only person who knows that she's doing hard drugs. As far as everybody else is concerned, Rue is doing just weed. And, you know, I understand they're teenagers, which is probably like they think, oh, it's just weed. Like, that's not an addictive thing. For an addict, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. I understand maybe they don't get it, but you would think majority of them have common sense. So when they be like, oh, you relapsed, and she's like, nah, it's just weed, you still relapsed. Even if it ain't hard drugs, you still relapsed, okay? Moving on, right? So she ends up, you know, pretending like, you know, she's basically wants Elliot to get the hint that she doesn't want Jules to know that she's doing drugs. And, you know, Jules starts feeling a little insecure because she's like, why is she acting like this around Elliot? Little do Jules know homegirl's back on the slippery slope of being an addict. Like, not being an addict, because you're gonna always be an addict. You're always considered an addict even when you're sober, but she's on the slippery slope of doing all types of hard drugs. Okay, as time progresses, we meet this new character named Ali. Did we meet him in season 1? I can't remember if we met him in season 1. It's so much, like I told y'all. But yeah, she meets Ali, and Ali's kind of just like taking her under his wing because he kind of understands that we did meet him in season 1. We did. So basically, you know, Ali is back again, and, you know, he's just trying to check up on her. Rue's being rude and nasty per usual. She's trying to act like she's not on drugs, but we all know what's going on. And yeah, at one point when she went to that drug deal place with Fez, you know, the guy had her stripping or whatever the case may be because he had to make sure they didn't have no wires on them and da-da-da. Yeah. So Rue is so hooked up on drugs that she essentially can't get off when Jules is giving her head. Okay? And because the drugs has her body so numb, she can't even feel Jules between her legs. And at this point, if Jules don't know that Rue's back on drugs, the girl is dumb. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah. And then, you know, she just doesn't tell Jules that she's on drugs. And then at one point, you know, there was the cute little bathroom scene with all the girls. Who cares? The girl was on drugs. They all thought they were concerned. They thought she relapsed. I mean, she did relapse, but they were like, oh, it's just weed. So yeah. And then, you know, we're only on episode 3 or 4. I can't. Yeah, 4. 3, 4, 1. One of them. I don't know. By the end of whatever episode I've done watched, Rue has went back to that drug lady's house that Fez took her to, where she had to strip, and essentially tells the lady, you know, she has a 3.5 or 9.5 GPA, lying ass. You don't even go to school. That, you know, she knows all these scholarly students who would be willing to sell for her, and because they're so like academically like high ranking, that people wouldn't assume that they'd be drug dealers, and because they also have stuff to lose in terms of like scholarships and college admissions, they will be easy to keep in control and not snitch. And so the lady was like, okay, here's how we're gonna sell it, here's the profit that you would get, here's the profit them girls would get, and but in reality, Rue's not doing this because she wants to actually sell drugs. Rue's doing this because in her mind this is free drugs. But the lady, even though she's real docile, real calm, is kind of like, if I don't get my money back, you gonna have to pay it back in blood. And she's talking about trafficking Rue. And Rue ain't selling that. We see Rue using it. And we leave off with Rue sniffing, smoking something out of that doggone suitcase. And her mom is so freaking oblivious. How the hell your daughter walking around dazed and confused half the time? When do you know your daughter to be, oh, I was auditioning for a play? When has that girl ever shown interest in any play? Whatever. So yeah, Rue is relapsed again, and we knew, I don't know about anybody else, but I knew her soberness was not going to last because her sobriety depended on a singular person, another teenager who's also not mentally all the way there yet, not very mature, and leaving your sobriety, your sanity, your peace, or whatever the heck else on a person is guaranteed to mess you up, because you and people are not going to always be on good terms. So if you leave all your circumstances up to the next person, you're going to fall down a slippery slope of bad habits and bad things, because you and people will not always be on good terms. Even if you get back better, in that moment of sadness, in that moment of non-peace, you're going to relapse. And that's exactly what happened. Jules left her and homegirl relapsed that same night. Anyways, the episode ends with Rue snorting and taking all these other pills that she's like hallucinating. She's in a church and I guess giving her life to God. I don't know. I feel like she's about to die. And I wouldn't be surprised because the narration literally switches from Rue to Jules. If she don't die, she about to be in a coma for a little minute. But she better not be, because they have missed the Met Gala in order to film this doggone season, so she better be in every single last episode awake, conscious, and speaking them motherfucking lines. But yeah, Rue's habit has gone so bad, she wants to give this semblance of that she's sober even though she's not. That she ends up gaslighting all of her friends, including her sister, by saying it's just weed. The weed helps her panic attacks. And I'm not saying she don't have panic attacks. I'm not saying that's not a thing. But that's not why she's using it. So yeah, she basically gaslights all her friends into thinking that, you know, they should give her this little bit of leeway to deal with all that she's going through, this and that. Master manipulation. But like everybody knows, an addict will do whatever they got to do to get their fix. And so Rue decided to gaslight, manipulate, and do whatever the heck she want to do. So that's where she at right now. And my opinion on Rue right now is just kind of like, I just need you to get better. I need you to stop disrespecting Ali. I need your mom to get to pay more attention. I need you to stop gaslighting. I need you to stop lying. Like, I'm tired. Let's get ready to the road to recovery. I know that's not the case for everybody. I know for some people, the road to recovery never comes. But y'all gonna have to give it to my girl. Please. I'm begging. We tired. We just want better for her, okay? And, like, you could tell she wants to be sober. Does she? I feel like she does, but at the same time, she don't. So, it's like a slippery slope for me. And I also feel like, you know, she has too much of a codependency on Jules, and she needs to just essentially stop being friends with her, go to actual therapy, actually participate in a good, decent rehab, because I don't know where her mama sent her, but I don't think it was good at all, because it didn't do nothing. Homegirl got she was back on them pills like 2 days later from being home from that rehab. She needs an actual center that's going to help her. She I don't know how else to explain it. I'm praying for my girl, because this season is not looking good for her in the slightest. Okay. Now moving on to the next character, we got Jules. Jules. Girl, where do I even begin? We start with her at the New Year's Eve party. She's partying with Kat. This, down the third. She ends up seeing Rue, and she's like, what? You know, she's kind of like shocked because they hadn't seen each other since Jules left town. And, you know, she got a new haircut. The underneath is black, and the top is still platinum blonde. You know, she's kind of just been chilling, not really stunting nobody but Rue. And, you know, they get back together at the New Year's Eve party, and then we're back at school again. She starts feeling insecure when Rue, I keep saying the wrong name. When Rue doesn't tell her about Elliot, she feels like Rue is lying about Elliot, or maybe likes Elliot, or they did something or had sex or something, and Rue doesn't want her to know. So she starts feeling insecure about that. She does end up bringing it up to Rue, and so they have a conversation with Elliot about it. And Elliot's just kind of saying that how they're both hot and all this other stuff. And Jules seems to just be like, oh, I don't trust you, this and that. But then she ends up, did she have anything else important that happened? Nah. So anyway, she ends up after giving Rue head, mind you, Rue faked her orgasm, right? So after giving Rue head, she's hanging out with Elliot. She's telling Elliot, oh, I think Rue faked her orgasm. And Elliot's kind of like, nah, she seems too lazy to be faking it. And so Jules is like, nah, she faked it. So Elliot was like, show me how she faked it. And then Jules did an imitation. And Elliot was like, yeah, she faked it. And, you know, Jules kind of starts feeling insecure. She's like, does Rue not find me attractive? Like, what's going on? Is she not into me no more after the whole incident of her leaving? You know, and Elliot's like, oh, that's not the case. I think, you know, you just don't know how to give head. And Jules is kind of like, I'm offended. And you know, Elliot's kind of like, why? And she was like, that makes me no better than a man that I can't give good head. And I'm like, Jesus, okay. And then, you know, Elliot's kind of like, okay, let me show you. He doesn't actually give her head. He uses her hands to demonstrate tongue motions. And then he tells Jules to repeat the motions on his hand. Them dirty drug-filled hands. That's probably why she was acting the way she was acting. Let me stop making excuses, okay? Anyways, so she ends up kissing Elliot or whatever, and then Rue comes over. They stop kissing. They all hanging out, you know, dancing, and then Rue and Elliot are secretly doing lines in the motherfucking bathroom, okay? And yeah, so Elliot ends up deciding that they should all go to the liquor store and steal alcohol. They do end up stealing the alcohol, and you know, while they're in the car, Rue starts to drink, and Elliot's looking at her, and he's like, oh, I don't think you should drink. And, you know, Rue's like, I'm fine. And Jules is like, are you seriously drinking right now? Why are you drinking this, da, 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 da? And honestly, Jules can really kick rocks, because if you really cared about this addict, your girlfriend, being exposed to alcohol, you wouldn't have even went along with the idea of stealing these drinks. Girl, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're getting mad at her, but you put the temptation in front of her. That's like putting a crackhead in a room full of crack and then expecting them not to fold. Like, I know alcohol and heroin and fentanyl are not the same things, but one leads to the other, and they're all slippery slopes and are gateways to the next one. I'm not saying alcohol is a gateway to fentanyl, but you gotta know what I mean. For an addict, all of these stuffs are like gateway things. Like, addiction is not necessarily like to drugs. Addiction is just about getting a certain feeling from some type of action. So for a lot of people, it is drugs, but for somebody else, it could be smoking. For the next person, it could be alcoholism, which is why there are many different types of people addicted to different things, because addiction is literally something that's mental. And it depends what specific thing gave you that serotonin at the time that you keep trying to re-achieve. Okay? So, yeah. Jules getting mad at Rue just kind of, like, pissed me off. Like, girl. And then Rue was just kind of like, let me out the car. I didn't think they would actually let her out the car, but they do. And I'm thinking, okay, they let her out, but they're going to follow behind her. No, they leave a drunk, cross-faded Rue, a girl who done been drinking alcohol, snorting whatever the heck, popping whatever type of pills, and smoking weed, and they leave her out in the middle of nowhere to walk home by herself. And at that moment, I knew, it wasn't at that moment. It's continuing, right? So they leave Rue. Rue goes back home to do more drugs, and they head back to Elliot's place. Jules ends up being like, can I take a shower? She takes a shower. She borrows some of his clothes. While she's in the closet changing into his clothes, she ends up turning off her cell phone. She doesn't even text Rue to see if this girl got home. She just turns off her cell phone, gets in the bed with Elliot, and I'm assuming have sex with him. They started making out. I can't remember if they had sex or not. I kind of tune out at the sex scenes. It's a lot. It's like every 10 seconds. Like, it's a lot. Okay, my brain sometimes is like, okay, it's too much. I can't pay attention right now. And plus, I don't want to look at somebody cheating. So yeah, and that's where we leave off with Jules' character. And all I'm gonna say is, Jules does not love Rue. She does not love Rue. Jules is somebody who has spent her entire life, you know, wanting validation for her identity, which is fair and understandable, but the way she goes about it is very freaking wrong. Rue is an addict, somebody who is easily obsessed with one thing or another, and her new obsession had become Jules, which is why she was sober for them good 3 months or whatever the case may be, right? While Jules is the type of person, she's just enjoying the attention that she's getting from Rue. I don't think she genuinely, like, I know she's attracted to Rue, I know that she cares for Rue, but I don't think she genuinely loves Rue, because at the same time, you're a teenager. You're not supposed to be dealing with the baggage of being the girlfriend of an addict. Honestly, no one should be dealing with that baggage, but it's life. It happens. We love who, you end up loving people, and sometimes they go down a path that you didn't expect, and it happens. But, this is somebody who she had previously met, who was doing drugs before they even met, and by the time she met and they, became close, and Rue was kind of like, Jules was like kind of cut it out, and Rue actually cut it and stop doing drugs. It's understandable that she would become infatuated with somebody who cared enough for her to stop doing this. But honestly, I don't think Jules actually loves Rue. This is just the person who's available to her and is showing her attention that she wasn't getting from the partners that she really wanted. She wanted Tyler. He didn't exist. It was Nate catfishing her. She wanted that girl Anna from, I think it was like New York or whatever the case may be. But homegirl was not accessible to her, so on and so forth. And she was telling Rue about all of these encounters. And you cannot tell me Jules did not know that Rue had a crush on her. Rue was very, transparent about it for the most part. Even if she wasn't verbally saying it, the way she was acting, the way she was just around her. And then even when she gave her the kiss, whatever the case may be. I don't think Jules likes that girl for real. She's just kind of like, this is the person giving me what I want right now in this moment. And it's just what it is, because you can't tell me you love somebody and you not checking on them to just at least make sure that they're home. I don't care how mad I get at my boyfriend. If he ends up leaving me, and let's say we just got into an argument or a debate or whatever the case may be, and he leaves the house upset, I still always text him, tell me when you make it home, because God forbid something happens to him or somebody I care about and we left on bad terms and I didn't even care enough to check up on you. She do not love that girl for real. Even if you didn't want to talk to her, even if you didn't want to acknowledge her existence at that moment, the least you could have did was make sure she got home okay, especially because you and Elliot left her stranded by herself. Moving on. Okay, next person on the list is Elliot, because I'm about to complete this little trio. Elliot, man, you just got on the scene. And I don't like you, not for the life of me. I'm thinking, okay, this a little man of color. He gonna help Rue out a little bit, Nah, he an addict his darn self. So I'm like, and I don't even think he's an addict, honestly. Because what addict is wiping away a line in the bathroom. So remember when I told y'all Jules, Rue, and Elliot were hanging out at Elliot's house, right? After, Elliot and Jules had their kiss, okay? So they're hanging out, and Rue and Elliot are taking turns going to the bathroom to snort lines, right? We see Rue, she snorts her line, and she comes back out into the room. So then, not to make them look suspicious to Jules, they wait a couple minutes, and Elliot's like, okay, now I have to use the bathroom. So he steps away to go to the bathroom. And instead of Elliot actually snorting the line, this man brushes it away. He brushes it away. What addict is brushing it away? I don't think he's an addict. I think he's pretending to be one for the sake of Rue and manipulation. Okay, so after he snorts his line away and he gets back to the room with the girls, he ends up being like, let's go to the liquor store and steal some liquor. They end up acting a fool in the store to steal the liquor. He ends up getting his window smashed in his car. And, then he starts telling Rue, oh, don't drink. And honestly, you would think, oh, he cares about her because he knew she snorted some stuff, so he don't want her to mix alcohol in the thing. No, you knew she snorted stuff. You knew that Rue has no self-control and she's going to do what everybody else is doing. You purposely wanted to go get drunk. Because now you were going to have a cross-faded Rue who was on alcohol, snorting and popping painkillers. And then you was going to have Jules drunk off her behind. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. I don't know what situation he was trying to create. But he's manipulative AF. And then I forgot to say, because I was waiting until each character, I reveal a little bit as I go to each character, right? He ends up, telling Jules Rue is back on drugs right before they start doing the do, okay? Because he's like, I don't want to lie to you, and this and that. And honestly, I feel like Elliot is the villain. He is the villain. I'm not gonna say he's as bad as Nate, but I feel like he's gonna give Nate a run for his money this season, because the way he is manipulating these two girls is getting ridiculous. Okay, on one hand, he's letting Rue do all these drugs, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna keep it our secret. I'm gonna let you do what you want to do, but at the same time, orchestrating these scenarios where she's taking multiple drugs at one time and letting her do all this other stuff that could end up killing her. He almost died the first night she met him. They met each other. And then on the other hand, he's trying to tell Jules, like, nah, like, Rue doesn't really seem that into you. Like, she don't even seem like a sexual person. Like, you deserve somebody that's sexual, somebody that's gonna please you, somebody who's gonna, you know, be appreciative of all that you do for them and all this other stuff. Like, he's playing them against each other. He's literally turning them against each other. What the end game is, I don't quite know yet. At first, I thought he was trying to get with Rue, but Rue has made it clear she's strictly vagine, okay? She's strictly vagine. There's no strictly dickly on Rue's side, from as far as we can tell. She tried it when she was a teenager, as far as losing her virginity and trying to date dudes, and it didn't work out for her, so now she knows she's strictly vagine. While Jules on the other side seems to be, I guess, pan, you could say, or bi, pan or bi. I don't know. She's one of the two, okay? So he might have a chance with Jules, because homegirl is insecure and is literally taking any person that shows her an ounce of empathy and I want you and I want to take care of you and I'm gonna care about your feelings and validated this and validated that. Like, so I don't know who he's trying to get, but it feels like he's trying to get both of them, and he's just really weird, really manipulative, turning them against each other. Like, and the only reason he told Jules is to get Jules fully on his side. It wasn't because, oh, he cares about Rue and he think Rue's gonna die. And nah, he just wanted to hunch that girl. And he knew if he told her this big old secret that Jules was gonna feel so vulnerable. Like, how you hunch somebody in a vulnerable state? She's mentally not okay. Her and her girlfriend just got into this little tussle. She found out her girlfriend is back on drugs. I honestly don't believe that's when she found out. I think that's just when the first time she has to actually believe it, because somebody else told her. Because if you telling me homegirl did not realize Rue was on drugs, she just don't care or don't pay attention to that girl. Okay. So yeah, I don't like Elliot. He's not giving good vibes at all. He's just weird and manipulative and like a freaking weirdo. Anyways, moving on. Who is the next person on my list? Kat. Kat has literally gotten the least amount of mother freaking screen time this season, and I don't know, like, it's like, I understand I heard like there was like some background stuff going on between her and the director Sam Levinson, I think, between Barbie Ferreira, y'all know who I'm talking about. Kat, Barbie, her real name is Barbie in real life. I don't know if that, in real life that's her name, but that's the name she goes by. And Sam Levinson, the director, script writer, producer, all of that, they were having some issues between, you know, how the character was being portrayed, which ended up having her have less screen time. And by the end of season 1, they had to completely drop the ball on her being a girl cam, a porn girl cam person. Like, it was like she kind of just stopped one day, and they didn't really explain it. So in season 2, it's like she's completely like, it's not even a topic that's being discussed. And like her entire scenes are dedicated to her talking about, or people mentioning her boyfriend, Ethan, I think that was his name. Ethan, I think. Whatever the man name was, and mentioning him to her and how he's so good to her. But to Kat, she's like, you know, she thinks something's wrong with her because she's not, she finds him annoying. She doesn't really like him. Like, it's like everything that he does gets on her nerves. And then we had one scene, you know, where she's like talking to an imaginary person in her head, I guess. All these imaginary skinny girls in her head, and how she's basically saying she hates herself, which is very understandable as a fat person. We see each other, okay? And basically they're like, you just have to love yourself. You just have to love yourself. And, you know, Kat, like, I really like that scene. I wish they expanded more on it. I wish they completed the freaking sex worker scene, the sex worker storyline. But because of all the stuff, I guess, that's going on back behind the scenes, they kind of just like are dropping the ball with her a lot. So I don't even know what's going on with that. So every scene is dedicated to literally Ethan. I think that's his name. If that's Kevin, some generic name, okay? And so that's just basically how we left it off with Kat. She got her one-liner or whatever the heck in the last episode 4, I believe, with Nate in the hot tub, and she was like, you know, you don't think I have a mind of my own? I don't know. I felt like it could have been more powerful. The way people were talking about that scene, they made it seem like, because, you know, people like to give spoilers before the look, man, I don't got cable. I got HBO Max, meaning I can't watch the episode until Monday. And everybody ruined it for me on Twitter. And I'm not going to avoid Twitter because people want to put on spoilers. I don't really care about spoilers. But the way they was talking about that scene, they was like, yeah, she put him in his place, and she, and I'm like, finally get to the scene, and I'm like, this what y'all hyping up? Because, baby, if it was me, much more would have been said. Much, much more would have been said. I would have dragged him to filth. Like, anyways. So that happened. So that's basically Kat's entire 5 minute of screen time that happened. Moving on. Next, we got Lexi. Lexi is doing a play at school. And the play is literally based on her life. Obviously, she's clearly changed the names of the characters so people won't know. But clearly, the people whose scenes that she's written about, so her conversations with Cassie, her conversations with Rue, or whoever the heck else, they'll obviously recognize their conversations if they're smart enough to remember it, I guess. So my prediction is going to be at the end of the season, when Lexi puts on her play, all the friends are going to come and watch. Even Rue's addict self, Fesco is gonna come, you know, support her. They a little cute little thing. I like that. It's cute. You know, I don't believe anything as good is gonna come out of it. But yeah. So everybody's gonna come watch the play. People are gonna start putting two and two together, and bada bing, bada boom, the truth comes out during the play. That's what I believe is gonna happen. Again, we don't really we see a lot more of Lexi. Lexi views her life as like a show. So everything that's happening in her life, all the drama, she's kind of just writing it down, and this play is her time to showcase it, or whatever the case may be. You know, and then something else we got from her was, you know, she and Fez had a little moment at the New Year's Eve party. You know, they had a good conversation, so she starts feeling him a little bit. She ends up going to his store to like warn him, but she never does, because she's like, they talk about how she's like really scared to do a lot of stuff, like she's PUSSY. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cute little storyline, nothing special, nothing whatever, you know, it's just her and Fesco. And yeah. To Fesco. I need Fez. So we finally get Fez's background story. His mom abandoned him. His grandpa, or his dad, I guess. His dad beat him. So he ends up living with his grandma. His grandma, the lady in the room that's, you know, getting sponge baths and stuff, she was a drug dealer herself. She's the one that taught Fez everything that he knew. And, you know, it showed us how Ashtray became his brother. They're not biologically related, but Ashtray's mom, I guess, was an addict who used Ash as a what are they called, collateral to get drugs, and never came back for the baby. So yeah, they end up being raised together, all this other stuff. They become brothers and all these other things. And you know, we basically see how he gets into the drug game, especially when his grandma falls sick. He ends up having his own storyline, because remember season 1, I believe Ashtray, so hot-headed, ends up killing one of his drug connects named Mouse. So him and the other dude that was there, because Ashtray didn't kill the other dude, but he did break the other dude's nose, they start working together. We meet, you know, we see him at the drug house, and you know how he gets his drugs now and all this other stuff. He ends up adopting the girl I told you that Rue met, who had the heroin. He ends up letting her stay at the house or whatever, because the drug dealer whose nose that they broke, you know, house got raided, and he didn't want her to get caught up in that. So he asked Fesco to like watch out for her and stuff like that. Oh yeah, at the New Year's Eve party is when we had first seen Fez. You know, he had this conversation with Lexi. It was pretty normal. I mean, pretty normal. The conversation was pretty normal, but it was really weird that Fez was at a party, because none of these people were like his people. I'm pretty sure I think he's like 21. I think he's older than them. Yeah, he ends up beating up Nate at the party or whatever. And then Nate's dad ends up trying to come to, you know, Fez's job, and just like, it's basically stalking Fez, because he thinks Fez has the videotape of him and Jules, which he don't. Maddie does. So yeah, so that's basically how it's going for him. Nothing too special. There's not really much to say on Ashtray. Ashtray's just really a hothead, and I feel like he don't think about his consequences. He don't, and I feel like it's gonna end up causing Fesco a lot of drama. So I think he needs to get it together quickly. Moving on. And then we got Maddie. We got her. Did we get her episode this season or last season? I don't even remember. I tell you, all of this is a blur. But basically, she's babysitting this kid of this like really rich family, whatever the case may be. Her and Nate are still broken up, but she's trying to get back together with him because she does love him, but she still realizes that he's toxic for her, so she doesn't really know what to do. We don't really see much of her besides her babysitting and stuff like that. The last episode was her birthday, so everybody was hanging out, and she did get mad at Nate because he was so quick to tell people they weren't back together. And so she was kind of like, why is your tone like that? Like, what's going on? What's tea? She's noticing that Cassie's acting weird, but she's just assuming it's because her and McKay broke up and stuff like that, and that Cassie's talking about being single all the time. So yeah, nothing too special going on with them. Moving on to Cassie, because I know y'all been waiting for it. Cassie, I don't know, I don't like what she's doing, okay? But at the same time, this is somebody who even if she didn't just break up with her boyfriend, she just had an abortion, okay? And that's going to take a toll on your body regardless. It's going to take a toll on your emotional and mental health. It's just because I don't even think Cassie wanted to get rid of the baby for real. I know she did, and she said that she wanted to, but the way she was talking to McKay when she first found out, it didn't feel like she actually wanted to do it, but she felt like she had to because she knew McKay wasn't ready, and she knew she didn't have her life together, and like they just weren't a good fit for themselves, right? So anyways, we get to the New Year's Eve. It's the first episode, New Year's Eve. We meet Cassie at a gas station. She ends up buying, I think, like a dessert or a candy or something from the gas station. She ends up sitting down on the curb eating it. Mind you, she is a little drunk at this point because Lexi told us that she was drinking in the car, and so she put Cassie out of the car. Why are you leaving your drunk sister on the road? I don't know. These characters are so weird sometimes. So anyways, while she's at the gas station, Nate happens to drive by to pick up some beer, ends up giving her one, is being really nice to her, and he's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll drive you to the party. So yeah, he starts driving her to the party. At one point in the car, he's speeding so much and drinking and looking at her. I'm surprised they didn't crash. She ends up spilling drinks on her dress, and for some reason starts to take off her panties. For what reason, I don't know. And Nate's just kind of like looking at her like what's good, like what's going on. And then when we finally see her again, her and Nate are in the bathroom of the party, of the New Year's Eve party, kissing and sucking on each other and doing all this other stuff. And while they're in the middle of doing that, boom, 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 knock, 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 here comes Maddie to the door, and it's basically like, I need to use the bathroom, and Nate's like, give me a minute. She was like, oh, you're in here, open the door, and he's like, nah, give me a second. And she's like, it's not anything I haven't seen before, open the door, and Nate is just kind of like, give me a second, and here's Cassie. I'm scared. She's my best friend. I'm scared. Girl, you was not scared with your tongue down that man's throat and your titties out. Relax, okay? Relax. And Nate was like, are you freaking crying right now? That hyperventilation just made me lightheaded. Hold on. Okay. So Nate's kind of just like, what are you doing this for? We haven't even gotten caught yet, whatever the case may be. And Cassie's just kind of like, I know, but she's my best friend. She's gonna kill us. Like, girl, shut up. Anyways, Nate ends up making her hide in the bathtub where she has to be real quiet, whatever. And she's in there for a really long time because even after Maddie uses the bathroom, there was no toilet paper, so she had to wipe her cuckoo with a rag. Hopefully that rag wasn't dirty, because oof. So she had to wipe her cuckoo with a rag, and she ends up throwing the rag in the bathtub, and it lands on Cassie's face. It was deserved. That pissy rag was deserved. Anyways, so Cassie ends up like taking the rag off, like being disgusted that the rag is on her face, but she has to like be real quiet in order to not get caught. So she's waiting for Maddie to leave the bathroom, right? Sorry, y'all. I know that mic is making a lot of noise. So she's waiting for Maddie to leave the bathroom so she can get out the tub, right? So as soon as Maddie's about to leave, before Maddie got in the bathroom, there was this black guy. He fine. Do you hear me? Fine. F-O-I-N-E, fine, okay? He ends up talking to her while she was waiting for the bathroom, for Nate to get out of the bathroom. And, you know, he ends up asking her, do she want to smoke? When she's starting to leave the bathroom. So Maddie's like, yeah, I want to smoke. So they go back in the bathroom. So now Cassie has to still be hiding. And, you know, they smoke, they talking, they whatever. And so this entire time, you know, while they talking, Cassie's trying to like, I don't know why this girl had her phone by her foot when she laid in the bathtub. But that's basically what happened. And so she's basically trying to use her foot to grab her phone without making too much noise. But before she can grab her phone, it vibrates. The phone vibrates against the bathtub, and you know vibration on glass is real loud, okay? So the dude ends up being like, what the heck is that? And Maddie's like, I don't freaking know. So he looks in the bathtub, and so Cassie, for once, uses her mother freaking brain and pretends to be passed out in the tub, but she got like her face hiding her, her hair hiding her face. So he's like, oh, it's a girl passed out in here. And Maddie's like, okay, what's that TikTok? What do you want me to do about that? And so she's just kind of like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's go dance. Like, I don't really care that girl passed out. That's a little effed up. Y'all could have made sure the girl was breathing, but whatever. So the dude was like, all right, she don't care. I don't care. So they end up leaving. And, Cassie waits a little bit longer, a couple minutes longer, and she's sure that they're out. So she ends up starting getting up, and she sees some dude sitting on the toilet shitting. Okay. So after that, she gets out of the tub. She gets to, the party. She's acting like she been there. She just been chilling for the whole time. She's dancing with Maddie as if she wasn't just sucking and kissing on her ex-boyfriend. Like, even if they're not together, that girl still love that boy. That girl still love that boy. Stay up off him. Anyways, they end up dancing, and then, what happens? Oh, yeah. So Nate ends up getting beat up. Him and Cassie go with him to the hospital. Homegirl is bloody AF. I really did like the imagery, though, about when they were, like, running side by side with Nate into the hospital. So you got Cassie, whose hands are bloody. And, her nails are, like, this, like, really, like, beige, like, simple type of nail design. And as she's running, she's, like, stumbling with her steps. Like, she's, like, struggling. And you can see, like, the panic and fear on her face. And then we switch over to Maddie. Mind you, Cassie is, like, wearing this, like, really light blue dress. She's blonde hair, very bright makeup, right? Then we switch to Maddie, who has, like, dark makeup, dark hair, dark outfit. And, her hands are clean. She has no blood on her hands, right? As they're running down this hospital hallway, and while Cassie is over here stumbling, having to like readjust her steps every 2 seconds because she can't keep her legs up, her feet up under her legs, Maddie is just like graceful with her slides, like quick, whatever the case may be. And her nails real exaggerated, real dark, real whatever. So it was just like a parallel between the two against this one man, and how like these two were supposed to bring out like different sides of him, but at the same time, Maddie was toxic for him, but she's still like, they know what it is. While Cassie, on the other hand, got a messy hands because, baby, this your best friend's ex-boyfriend that she's still in love with. Like, yeah, your hands are full of bloodshed and betrayal. Okay? So that scene happens. And during this time period, Cassie ends up falling into a depression, right? To the point, like, homegirl not showering. She's not showering. I guess Nate getting beat up really affected her. I don't know. So yeah, her mother ends up making a comment like, when's the last time you showered? Like, you smell. Okay. Cassie doesn't say anything. And even like, it was like 2 or 3 days later, the mom had to ask, when the mom asked her did she shower, she notices that Cassie still got blood on her thighs from when she was helping Nate. And instead of going to shower to get human blood off of you, who we don't know what it's infected with, she ends up just getting a rag and wiping it off. She don't actually shower, right? She's been trying to message Nate, to see how he's doing, but clearly he's kind of like ignoring her. He's only answering to like Maddie and stuff like that. And so yeah, she finally gets a chance to meet up with Nate like in the afternoon when he's home from the hospital. He's feeling a little bit better. He's able to sneak away so that him and Cassie can get together. So Nate ends up picking her up. I don't know why. Nate ends up driving them to a construction site, one of his dad's construction sites. And, he says something about how it should have never happened and it's not going to happen again. Cassie gets upset she can't sleep with her best friend's ex-boyfriend, who her best friend is still in love with, and gets out the car and bolts through this construction site. Where she thinks she going? I don't know. You ain't never been here. Anyway, she ends up hiding in one of the houses. Nate eventually finds her. And then he proceeds to make out with her. And then he proceeds to go and eat her unwashed cuckoo. Her unwashed coochie. He proceeds to eat it. Devour it like his last meal. Like this was the last supper. He devoured her coochie. And I'm just sitting here like, you ain't showered in about 3 days. If he's telling me he don't smell it, he's lying. He's lying. Because if discharge ain't, I don't even know. We know she didn't shower after the party. After her and Nate were already, after pissing, because I'm assuming you're going to piss within them 3 days. Like, I know that coochie was strong. It was strong. Because it was unwashed. So, yeah, he does that. And, you know, they end up sneaking around every Friday. They end up having, like, doing a do together, right? And so throughout the school time, you know, Cassie's trying to, like, get Nate's attention because he's kind of, like, not paying her any mind when they're at school, and she don't like that. She wants all the attention. She don't even care if everybody else will, even though she's supposed to be kept a secret, right? This is what brings her, I don't even want to say it brings out of her, I don't want to say it brings her out of her depressive episode, but it gets her to shower and take care of herself hygienically. Mentally, heck no. Hygienically, though, she starts to take care of herself. So she's waking up at 4 a.m., 3 hours before school starts, to shower, do facials, the little rollers, do her hair, pick out an outfit. The first day she does her stuff, Nate walks right past her. She's kind of like shocked. Like he actually walked past her. Like he didn't even acknowledge her sister. It's like he looked straight through her. And homegirl, you would think this is the first time it happened. You would think she would take this as notice to like, oh, he really not fooling with me. You would think she would take that as a chance to be like, okay, I need to leave this man alone. Nah. She takes this. Sorry, y'all, my necklace. She takes this as a chance to be like, oh, he didn't notice me this time. He's going to notice me tomorrow. Or the next day. So for like a week straight, homegirl is getting up at 4 in the freaking morning to do this routine. Very aggressively, I might add. I don't know if that was cinematic choice or she was actually that aggressive. Homegirl was trying to go from white meat to red meat. She was trying to get up under that skin, okay? So yeah. She ends up doing that. The only time. So she had her Oklahoma. Was it Oklahoma? Her Oklahoma outfit. I didn't think it was that bad. A little extra. You know, they said she looked like a country star. She was like, is that a good or a bad thing? And Maddie was like, yeah, bitch, you mad or me joking? Yeah, so that's where that meme came from, right? So the only time Nate actually gave her any attention is when homegirl is dressed exactly like Maddie. When Cassie dresses exactly like Maddie, but the only difference between the two is that Cassie is wearing a light colored version of what Maddie's wearing, still showing that their differences through their color palette. Maddie has a very dark color palette while Cassie has a very light one, showing like Cassie's innocence, even though she's not really that innocent, right? And that's the only time he actually notices her. And that day, it happens to be the fact that Maddie wore the exact same outfit. Honestly, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think Cassie asked Maddie what she was wearing and then acted accordingly, okay? And she had avoided Maddie that day because how you gonna explain yourself? You look ridiculous. You know you don't wear nothing like this. You look ridiculous. So yeah. And so they end up still fooling around every Friday. You know, Maddie, girl, Cassie's kind of like, yeah, I love being your secret, and then, you know, Nate's like, oh, I love how crazy you is. Yeah, I love how you go dumb over this DICK. Like, that's essentially what he's telling her, right? And, you know, when Rue is an unreliable narrator. We know this. She's an unreliable narrator. But she's basically like, Nate had never felt like this. He could honestly see a future with Cassie, getting married to her, having his children, all this other stuff. And I'm like, who told you this, Rue? You're not this omnipotent present, whatever. So I was just like, girl, what? Anyways, where was I? So yeah. They end up still effing each other all the time. And then we move on. He ends up ignoring her, I think, one of their Fridays that they're supposed to go out and hook up. He ends up not meeting up with her. Nate, that is. He ends up going to meet up with Maddie instead while Maddie's babysitting that boy. They have their whole conversation about being toxic for each other but still loving each other. But they're not back together yet. Blah, 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 blah. So then we get to episode 4, right? And, you know, Nate and Matt and Cassie are together. Cassie's at his house. You know, this is not the first time, but she's at his house. She's like, you know, in his clothes and stuff like that. And, you know, she's basically upset because, you know, Nate tells her, you know, he was with Maddie that other night, and Cassie was just like, they just started arguing, and Cassie was like, I'm crazier. No, you're not. You're delusional. She was trying to say she was crazier or more toxic than Maddie. And Nate was like, that's not a flex. That's not a badge of honor, you dumb. And I'm like, clearly, when the unstable one, when the demented one, Nate, is speaking some kind of sense, you gotta know you dead wrong. You gotta know you dead wrong. And what's crazy to me is Cassie knows that Nate abused Maddie. Like, this man literally choked her out. And you still went for it. He choked out your best friend. But yeah, and previously I forgot to mention, right, Cassie and Maddie were hanging out at the kid's house, the kid that Maddie babysits. Let me stop moving so much. At the kid that Maddie babysits, and then, you know, Maddie was basically telling Cassie about how, you know, she's debating whether or not she should get back together with Nate, and Cassie's all like, nah, you deserve better, and, you know, you deserve better than him, and you don't deserve to be in that toxic relationship. The whole time, homegirl just trying to make sure that Nate stays available for her. So she ends up trying to tell Nate, you know, she'll tell Maddie herself that they're in on each other because she won't censor herself. And, you know, Cassie's just kind of like, you need to stop messing with her or I'm going to tell her what's really tea. And he was like, that's blackmail. And she was like, that's not blackmail. You have a choice. But he was like, it's not really a choice though. And she was like, yeah, whatever. I guess it'll be blackmail then. So yeah, this 4th episode, it was Maddie's birthday. They're all at Cassie's house drinking, having fun. Cassie drunk off her ass, okay? She is drunk off her double snakes, okay? And especially because Nate ended up coming over to celebrate Maddie's birthday. And, you know, he kind of ignores her. So homegirl's getting drunk. So then they get in the pool. And, you know, she finds out that they're not together. But because she's so drunk, she ends up throwing up in the pool. In the hot tub, I mean, with everybody in it. It's nasty. So yeah, her mom ends up having to drag her away. And she's like crying, face red, as she's looking at Nate and all the other stuff. And that's basically where we leave off with her. I can't remember anything after that. That's pretty much where we left her. A drunk, hot mess, just threw up on herself and everybody else. And then she's like, while she's throwing up, she's like, I'm sorry, Maddie. I'm sorry, Maddie. I'm sorry, Maddie. And Maddie's kind of like, oh, it's fine. It's clearly not fine. You just threw up on everybody. But Maddie's like, whatever. You know, just she needs to get a towel. She needs a towel. Like, Nate needs to bring her a towel. And, you know, in that scene, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but I feel like Nate made his choice right then and there. When he decided to get Maddie a towel, instead of helping drunk Cassie, he made his choice of who his top pick was going to be. He made his choice. And if Cassie don't get it, God bless her, because I don't bless her little heart, because what are you doing? So that's where we leave off. And then with Nate, I don't even care too much for this man. He got beat up in New Year's, we know this. Then he had the issues with his daddy, and, you know, lying to his dad about the tape. He lied to his dad about you know, who beat him up because he didn't want his daddy in his business. All this other stuff, you know, he's been sneaking around with Cassie, he's been sneaking around with Maddie. He's not with Maddie, but he still wants to F on Cassie, and he's annoyed that she wants an ultimatum and she wants this, like, definitive thing because he don't want it, because he's still deciding if he wants to get together with Maddie, blah, 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 blah. Nothing too special, and then we end up with the episode, you know, with his dad giving a whole speech to their entire family and, you know, basically saying that Nate is his biggest regret. Why Nate is his biggest regret, I don't know. Maybe because Nate is low-key like his Cobbin Carpy in terms of repressing sexuality. I guess you could say that. But like the dad said, they all have effed up things going on with themselves. So yeah, you would think, I'll get to that later. So yeah, that's basically everything that's going on with Nate. Nothing too special. I don't really care for him. He's not showing any growth, any progression. He's just still an a-hole who is now manipulating two best friends, especially one in a vulnerable space. But I don't even think he knows that. I don't think he knows that Cassie got an abortion, so I don't even think he knows. I don't even think he would care, because him and McKay don't seem to really be talking. And he really got defensive when he saw McKay and Cassie talking at the party at the New Year's Eve party, he's like, did you F her? Did you F her? Did you come on her? Did you finish? Where did you come on her? Did you come in her cuckoo? Did you come on her stomach? Did you come on her face? Like, dude, relax. You're weird as fuck. You're weird. Relax. He's so weird. So that's basically him. And then we move on to, who we gonna move on to next? We did Rue, Elliot, Jules, Kat, Maddie, Cassie, Nate, Fesco, and Ashtray. I guess we can move on to Cal. I think he's the last main character. And then I'll kind of cover everybody else real quickly. So Cal, we basically get his backstory. When he was in high school, he had this best friend. I forgot his best friend's name. And they basically, ended up, like, developing feelings for each other. But, at the time, it was, like the 80s or something? The 80s or the 70s. I think it was the 80s. And, it wasn't really a thing. So they ended up, finally expressing to themselves, like, out loud that, they liked each other. After graduation, they went to a gay bar. His best friend brought him to a gay bar. They ended up kissing and dancing the night away. But sadly, that reality did not last for him. They couldn't run away together because during that time period, when we were getting to know Cal and his best friend, he also met his current wife, Marsha. And, they start dating. And so while they're dating, the best friend is dating Marsha's best friend, I assume. She used to come watch them wrestle. She used to come watch them wrestle and stuff like that. So, he ends up losing his virginity to Marsha. And so they end up always having sex all the freaking time. And he does enjoy it. So, yeah. And, she ends up getting pregnant. And so in his head, like, at that time period, he knows that when a girl falls pregnant, you gotta marry them or whatever. So that's what I thought. So that's why when he said that Nate was his biggest regret, I was kind of confused. I thought it would have been the firstborn son because he's the one that basically essentially took his opportunity away to be with his, best friend or whatever. So that was his whole repressed sexuality thing. And, in that time period, too, his dad kind of peeped that he was, like, feeling his best friend because the dad saw them laying in the bed together. Not like they were laying, like, entangled, but, like, they were laying side by side in a way that I guess was too inappropriate. So the dad, I guess, peeped, and then he told Cal to come downstairs or whatever the case may be. And Cal was like, yeah, just give me a minute, whatever the case may be, because he was on hard, okay? The dad was like, So when he falls for Marsha, I'm pretty sure the dad's like happy as hell, so there's that. And then, yeah, I guess, yeah, it did give a good backstory to Cal and why he was like repressing sexuality and how he never really got the chance to fully explore it because of the whole Marsha getting pregnant and he has to do the right thing. I don't believe in getting married because somebody got pregnant. I don't believe in that. That's dumb to me. Even though a child is a lifelong commitment and a marriage is a lifelong commitment, like, I don't know, like, that's not a good enough reason to get married to me. Because you weren't going to get married before the child, you probably shouldn't get married after the child. Because a child is not going to keep somebody together. But they got married and clearly it didn't work out towards this end part. So, in that episode, Cal ended up going back to that old gay bar that he used to go to. He's drunk off his behind. He probably has a concussion too because while he was stalking Fez, he ends up getting, ambushed by Fez and Ashtray, and they bring him into the house, and Ashtray just, like, keeps knocking him with a freaking Glock. I think it's a Glock. I don't know guns, y'all. He keeps knocking him out with some big old long gun, just hitting him on the head to the point that man bleed, yeah. So he probably got a concussion, and he's drunk, and, he's at this gay bar, and he ends up dancing with this dude, and then it teleports him back to the time where he was there with his best friend, and they dance together, and whatever case may be. But then he starts trying to wrestle the bar patrons. And, in the context of him and his best friend used to wrestle all the time together, it makes sense why he would want to wrestle because he's, like, essentially going down this nostalgic memory lane or whatever. But the bar security keeps telling him not to do it. He ends up getting kicked out of the bar, and he's, like, upset. He was like, nah, please, I haven't been here in 20 years. Don't kick me out. When. I did feel kind of bad that he got kicked out. I don't feel bad for him as a person. I feel bad for the repressed person that wasn't able to stay, okay? So yeah, so he ends up going home drunk. He pees in the foyer of the house. Marsha comes down, his wife, and it's kind of like, what the heck are you doing? What the heck are you doing? He finally admits to his entire family. I mean, Nate already knew. Yeah, so he admits to his family he has sex with gay men and transgendered people. And, you know, he's been doing it he did it, I think, right after his first son was born. I don't think he told them that he videotapes it, but yeah, he ends up calling himself the F word, the F slur. Why this is in a script, I don't know. Why it's being said by a man who's not gay in real life, I don't know. It's weird. He was called himself the F word, the F slur. He said, you know, he's a pig, all this other, he's sexist, and all this other stuff. And I was just like, what? Like, what does this have to do with anything? He ends up calling his entire family out. I guess Marsha was at one point in love with some camp counselor she used to work with, and she still kept all their little love notes or whatever case that she reminisces on all the time. So clearly she wasn't happy in the marriage either, which is why I said don't get married just because somebody's having a baby. And then he called out his son, his oldest son. I forgot what his name was too. I don't remember the unimportant people's names. And his oldest son, who has like these weird like porn kinks, I guess you could say, like people urinating in other people's booty holes and some more stuff. Like, that's the only thing I can remember, because what the heck is that? Like, I was like so flabbergasted. I was just like, what is going on? So yeah. And then, you know, he was like, he can't even call Nate out because he was like, Nate's life is such a mystery to him because Nate is so like to himself and like never explaining anything to anybody. So yeah, there was that. And then he ends up grabbing some of his stuff. He reads his family down and then he leaves. Yeah. And that's pretty much the important people. What else can I say? Gia is dumb because I don't even want to say she's dumb. I feel bad for Gia because she's getting gaslighted by Rue. Their mother is oblivious. I don't know. I guess because it's a white man writing the script, he doesn't really understand how most black moms act. Let me get this straight, right? Every black mom doesn't get in their child business, but every black mom does for the most part can tell when their child is acting weird and funky, and especially when their child is coming in at wee hours of the night. So I don't know, but Rue's mama, that ain't a real black mama. Nah. So yeah, it's F, Jules, and Elliot, because Jules is a cheater, but like I already said, I never believed she actually liked Rue. I just feel like Rue was a person who gave her what she wanted at that time. Elliot is a weird manipulator, as he's just weird. Kat needs more screen time, and her storyline needs to be more developed. Rue needs to hopefully get help. Hopefully Ali gets to her. Somebody gets to her. Maybe I feel like homegirl about to get kidnapped or overdosed in a coma. One of the two. Yeah, Cal's doing whatever he's doing. Nate's doing whatever he's doing. Cassie's just, that girl's not mentally okay. Like, I don't think anyone's really taking time to check up on her in that whole abortion thing, which is why I feel like what's influencing a lot of her actions. But that's neither here nor there. Something I don't like is the episodes are not character focused no more. Like, it's just kind of like whoever they want to talk about is who they talk about, which is annoying to me, because at least with a character focused episode, you got to cover them for most of the episode to cover a lot of stuff. Like, we've already had backgrounds established for most of the people, so I understand like the characters who didn't have their backgrounds established in season 1 would get their backgrounds established in season 2. But I feel like the ones who already had their background established, there should have been an episode dedicated to them and their next overarching storyline, because I don't know what the point of the show is at this point. I don't know where it's supposed to go. Like, it just feels like we're just threw stuff on the paper and called it a day. So yeah, character center episodes would be nice. The writing is cringy. At one point, Elliot was like, it seemed like you're navigating a Twitter thread. I don't know. It was just cringy. Cinematic photography, the cinematic photography though, chef's kiss. Very beautiful visual work. Yeah. It is now 2 a.m. I just spent an hour talking about Euphoria. These characters are unhinged. Their stories are unfinished. We just got resumed for season 3. We only halfway through season 2. That's what they said on Instagram. We only halfway through season 2. And I just don't know where it's gonna go. And I'm just I don't know. It's a lot. I feel like I missed a lot. I feel like I covered the important stuff, but I feel like I'm missing key details. But I don't know. It's 2 a.m. I'm tired now. And so, yeah. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. All my social media is in the comment, what's that thing called? Description box. If y'all want to follow me on other social medias. As always, be sure to leave a comment. Please be respectful, because I do delete and block, because I don't play that rude, nasty stuff. Don't be rude and nasty when you're replying to people. And if I left out anything, make sure y'all tell me in the comment section below. I usually reply to everybody, or at least acknowledge your comment with a heart. And I will make sure to see y'all in the next one. Bye. I want you and me, won't we? And I want